Today on the Gold Standard.
What are the benefits to have all of your money in a system that's so risky? What is your benefit to have all of your money in a system that our leaders are incompetent? What's the benefit of having all of your money in a system that is so leveraged where three banks went out of business last week, Credit Suisse had to be bailed out. Who's next? Is Deutsche Bank next? I mean, these are not isolated instances. So I would ask someone, why would you have all of your money in a system that is so risky?
This is the Gold Standard from Midas Gold Group with Kenneth Russo. Hello, I'm Dave Dino. Welcome to the Gold Standard, your source for secure investment opinion and information on the advantages of purchasing and owning precious metals. Whether you're an investor or an experienced collector, this is the program that gives you a realistic weekly perspective on the state of the economy, reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum to safeguard your wealth, and remarkable details about specific precious metal coins and bullion. Ken Russo is a senior vice president at Midas Gold Group, and his peers characterize him as a straight shooter who will work harder for you than anyone else. And you're going to hear that today. Ken, it is a pleasure, as always, to join you again this week.
Yeah, nice to be with you, Dave. Looking forward to our discussion.
Before we get into our topic of the day, I want to go back to something that we usually say in our introduction to the program, and that is we indicate that we provide reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum. Now, I get a lot of offers from gold companies on my computer, and some of them are offering kind of unbelievable details. I'm really intrigued by that and compare that to Midas, where you offer reliable information.
Well, and also private information, Dave. You know, I really wouldn't encourage people to go on the internet and let everybody know that they're looking for gold. There's stuff that's traced. I believe that we should have financial privacy. And I believe that financial privacy is going to be very important going forward, especially as we enter a digital currency world. Privacy is important. It does matter. Financial freedom and privacy is on the top of our clients' list and on the top of our list on how we do business. So if you can find somebody to trust and do business with and have a relationship with, in our opinion, you remember just like talking on the telephone, Dave? Remember those good old days where we didn't even have a cell phone in our pocket?
Right.
So, I mean, keep it private, folks. There's a trace if you're searching information on the internet. If you buy anything on the internet, look at what's going on as the dollar's being weaponized, the FBI is being weaponized. If you're a member of a political party, they may shut your money off. Keep it private. Keep it to yourself. Keep it between you and your dealer. Give us a call. We're not a company that just advertises, with a fancy actor and then just says that we have the lowest price out there. That's all just sales attractions. But if you're looking for in-depth information on gold and how you protect yourself from what's going on, I mean, I literally had a lady on a television program the other week and just say, well, what are we supposed to do with everything going on with the bank? Well, we're going to tell you today, folks, what you should be doing with some of your money at the bank, with the markets the way they are, but keep it private.
And that leads us into our topic of the day, which is the death of money. And this is a topic that you asked to talk about. And frankly, Ken, this one is above my pay grade. So, if you will, give us an explanation that simplifies financial terminology. What do you mean by the death of money?
Well, Dave, it's relevant to you, just like everybody who's listening. And I would just keep it real simple. Folks, the banking system as we know it is drowning in debt and it's dying. The government that we have is spending and spending and printing, and it's drowning in debt and it's dying. And the money that we have, our paper fiat dollar, which is total fiat since 1971. Remember, Dave, it used to be backed our money by gold, but since 1971, it's backed by nothing. And they can print as much of it as they want, which they've totally taken advantage of and been totally reckless. Our central bankers, led by the Fed and our government over the last 20 or 30 years, they're printing it into oblivion. And a lot of other countries are now doing business outside of the dollar on purpose, and they're just saying they're going to do more business in local currency outside of the petrodollar. And we're seeing more of that, especially with China and a lot of the BRIC nations. It's almost a daily occurrence now where these countries are almost bragging on how they're doing business outside of the dollar, and they don't need our toxic debt and they don't need our toxic money. And that's a big problem, folks, for everyone like you and I. So the purchasing power of our money, because of everything that's going on, is dying. It's dwindling. And the run of the dollar, the US dollar, Dave, as the world reserve currency, which has been in effect for about 75 years, and which is a tremendous advantage for the United States of America, to have all of the commodity trades, especially oil, traded in dollars to a degree. As that is losing its momentum, and as the dollar is about 58% right now of all the foreign exchange transactions in the world, and it was about 85% back in the late 70s. So as you can see, the trend is definitely going the other way. Mm-hmm. And with China and with these other countries that are going to back up their currencies, potentially with gold and land, believe it or not, there's a movement away from the US dollar, and that affects our purchasing power, folks. So, Dave, it may be above our pay grade, but it affects us, and it affects our nest egg. It affects everything we have in savings, everything we have in the stock market or in our retirement accounts. And if you don't want to be caught in that death of money, you have to do something about it. And the easiest thing you can do, and this goes back to the question before when a lady said, well, what are we supposed to do? We don't know what to do. Well, what you do is you take some money out of the bank, take some money out of cash, take some money out of the stock market, out of your retirement account, move it sideways and convert it into the only form of real money throughout history, which is physical gold.
A reminder here that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group, and our topic today is the death of money. Ken, I saw an article that said 2023 is likely to be the year of gold. Both fundamentally and technically, gold looks like it will make major up moves this year, end quote. What would make gold a preferred holding of wealth this year?
Well, Dave, it is doing very well. And, it's almost at an all-time high. But if you look at the big picture, I mean, it's basically been sideways to down for the last 10 years. I mean, gold went up dramatically from about the year 2000 to about the year 2011. Since 2011, it's kind of been floating between the $1,900 level and the $2,000 level, and now we're a little bit above that. So that's a 10-year, 12-year breakout. Now, typically, when you have money managers or institutions, they're all looking at the same charts. I mean, technically, gold looks like it's headed to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 an ounce pretty easily. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I think the real question is not how great gold is going to do this year, but how bad everything else possibly could do. And gold will reflect that. As the dollar goes down, gold is going to go up in value. As the stock market and then the economy fail, which we all know is coming, we all know a recession is headed this way, if not something worse. Look at how many people are being laid off. These higher interest rates will definitely take effect. They could only lie about these numbers for so long, Dave. I mean, and the numbers are just a total mockery. They come out with this stuff and they talk about inflation's gone, and they talk about it being transitory still, and they talk about things being under control. They have no idea what's going on, and they have no idea about anything that's under control, because it's not. But I think that gold is going to benefit from all of that, because that's what it does. So I would expect gold to do very well for the next decade. But that means that a lot of other stuff is going to do very poorly. Stuff that was artificially inflated over the last decade. I would say that gold is going to be a beneficiary of all of these things, Dave, that are going to do poorly. Things that were artificially propped up in the last decade. You had real estate, and you had stocks, and you had different even bonds. Because interest rates were so low, the bubble was inflated. Now that bubble right now is being popped, and it's being deflated. So it's inevitable. It's inevitable that we're going to see assets lose tremendous value. But one of the assets that should be a beneficiary of that will be gold and silver, obviously, to a degree, because it's tangible. You can put your hands on it. You can touch it. You can hold it outside the banking system. It will always have value. It's real money. It's trusted. So when you have something like that versus paper, I have no idea what this is. Where's my money? What's it really worth? Is it still at the bank? Isn't this just digits on a ledger? I have no idea how much money of mine the bank actually has. Does it have enough? They say they do. That's, to me, it's just all a sham. It's all a game. And eventually this sham, this scheme, whatever you want to call it, is going to end very badly. And if you don't want to be financially destroyed, you better make sure you have enough of your money converted to gold.
So, Ken, if a person has a substantial amount of cash in a bank, let's say, or maybe a lot of their lifelong savings are tied up in investments, what would you say it would be wise for them to do right now?
Well, first of all, I would ask them to ask themselves, why would you want to have all of your money in a system that is like this? What are the benefits to have all of your money in a system that's so risky? What is your benefit to have all of your money in a system that our leaders are incompetent? What is it? What's the benefit of having all of your money in a system that is so leveraged where three banks went out of business last week? Credit Suisse had to be bailed out. Who's next? Is Deutsche Bank next? I mean, these are not isolated instances. So I would ask someone, why would you have all of your money in a system that is so risky? Then I would ask them, why would you have your money in a system that the government wants to know everything that you do in the next few years? Why would you have all of your money in a system where the government wants to trace and track every single thing that you do? And then third, I would ask them, why don't you have your money in something you can hold, something that is outside of the banking system, something that has typically doubled in price every 8 years since 1971? Why don't you have something that is not paper, something that is actually worth something? Why don't you have something that is outside of the system that can't be traced, something that's private? And then typically people say, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I want to talk to you all. That's why I want to try to get some money converted to gold. So I would just say, based on where we are today, Dave, it is insane. Doesn't make any sense to have all of your money in this type of a paper system. And I would tell someone to take 25 or 50% even in certain instances. We have some clients that just want to convert it all, but I would say everyone's different. I would say everybody has a different living expense situation. I would say everyone is a different financial situation. It's a conversation, but I'm not opposed at considering taking 25 to 50% of your paper assets in such a risky environment right now, running for cover, playing a little defense, and thinking about converting that sideways into physical gold and some silver, Dave.
Ken, I have to say your message has been consistent over the years. Gold and silver offer a hedge of protection against disastrous economic policies that we are seeing today right before our very eyes. And we're going to continue our topic, the death of money, a little bit later in the program. And we'll highlight several other tangible ways that you can convert your wealth into the security of gold. But first, a reminder that you're listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And coming up, we're going to look at a specific precious metal that you can use to safeguard your wealth. And that's coming up right after this.
Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and now Credit Suisse Bank. Veteran-owned Midas Gold Group believes we are in the early innings of a systemic banking crisis. The Fed's quantitative tightening with higher interest rates are affecting the money supply. This is your cue to create your own bank with real money, gold. Call Midas Gold Group now, 855-322-GOLD. I trust them with my account. You can too. Midas Gold Group, your vault of confidence.
And we're back with more of The Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is the death of money. By the way, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, you can visit our local office to meet with us in person. For the address and directions, just log on to MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers, that's 855-322-4653. Now, it's time for our precious metal spotlight of the week, and amidst all of the financial uncertainty, let's talk about a gold coin that just shouts stability. The gold American Buffalo. Ken, I love having several of these in my collection.
Yeah, I love the gold buffalo, Dave. And, remember, folks, in the next few years, the financial system is going to crash under its own weight in spite of the biggest money printing avalanche that the world is ever going to see. But what could we do to protect ourselves from losing what we have while all that plays out? 2006, that subprime mortgage crisis, Dave, was just a rehearsal. What's going on, and the finale, as we know it, is starting now. So the gold buffalo is one coin, Dave, where you can get that diversification and get some protection and play some defense. It's one full troy ounce of gold, 24 karat gold. Now, this is the only 24 karat gold coin that the United States Mint makes. Now, the obverse side of the gold buffalo, Dave, or the head side, features a Native American chieftain in profile, which was repurposed in tribute from James Earl Fraser's original iconic design of the 1913 Indian head nickel. You remember the 1913 Indian head nickel, right, Dave?
Vaguely.
Yeah, you were just a little boy at that time. And the reverse side features an iconic American buffalo. In this case, as I've pointed out before, it is a rendering of Black Diamond. And remember, Dave, that's an actual bison and a well-known inhabitant of New York's Central Park Zoo in the early 1900s. So, the bottom line, Dave, is the gold American buffalo is a showpiece in any collection, but it's for wealth preservation, it's for defense, it's for diversifying. Typically, in a good gold market, Dave, the gold American buffalo is going to appreciate a lot more than some other coins. I would say it's probably on par with the eagle. They just don't make as many as the eagle each year. It's just not as well known as the eagle, but when it comes to quality, I feel it's a privilege to own gold American buffaloes. I think that it's definitely should be a consideration for every single person who's looking to diversify in gold, Dave.
And you have these available?
We do, and they are IRA qualifiable. We can order them if we don't. A lot of these products, Dave, are starting to get tight. We're starting to see 1-2 week delays. And folks, I think it's going to be a lot worse in the future. I think that price is going to rise substantially due to demand. Don't believe the price of gold that you see every day. It's a manipulated price by the banking system. It's the paper price of gold, and that number is becoming more and more irrelevant.
Ken, thank you. I got to tell you, I love having this in my collection. Coming up in a moment, we're going to continue our topic, the death of money, with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group, and that's coming up right after this.
With so many cracks showing up in the banking system and over $31 trillion of U.S. debt, is the full faith and credit of the government warranted? Just print more, you say? Argentina, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe all did that, and we know what happened. Defaults happen, but gold has never defaulted. Veteran-owned Midas Gold Group will reinforce your portfolio. Call 855-322-GOLD. Midas Gold Group, your vault of confidence.
And we're back with more of the Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is the death of money. As we have been saying, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, we encourage you to come and visit us at our local office. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com, M-I-D-A-S, MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, let's return to our topic. Ken, I want to kind of jump ahead as we approach the end of our time together here, and I want to get back to a real basic question that I think we need to repeat time and time again. How does gold protect my family's financial stability, our ability to pay our bills?
Well, it gives us options, Dave. I don't think that anyone really knows in 5 or 10 years what money is exactly going to look like. And I'm not claiming to know either. But what I do know is that some things will always have worth, and some things will continue to be worth less and less and less. I know that for sure. It's a
Mm-hmm.
guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what's going on, money printing, debt, government outreach, these different programs, agendas, there's going to be tens to hundreds of trillions of dollars more printed over the next few years. Our debt is going to be over 50 trillion, 60 trillion. Our unfunded liabilities are over 200, 250 trillion. That's all inevitable. So you got to ask yourself, what's going to happen to our system and what's going to happen to our money as that all plays out? Well, I don't think it takes anyone who's really, really that bright to know what's going on. You don't even need a crystal ball. It's a pretty good idea that our money's going to be worth a lot less than it is today. Our paper money, right, Dave? And our
Right.
paper assets.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you say to yourself, well, what could I do about that? What kind of money could I hold that's strong? What kind of money could I hold that has always been money for thousands of years? What kind of money could I hold that I could hold it myself? I don't need to keep it at the bank. What kind of money could I have to pass down for my kids that could be part of my nest egg that will always have value? It'll always be worth something, so I can feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's always been gold. The problem is that advisors, bankers, stockbrokers, they can't make any money if you own gold and it just sits there. They can't generate any fees on it. They can't trade it from cash to money market to money market to mutual fund to annuity to ETF to ETF to bond to iShares. That's why they have all these products, because it allows them to hold your money. It allows them to lend out your money. It allows them to generate fees on your money. It's your money, and they want it to run their system. For you to get out of that type of situation, and it's only going to get worse, and look at the people who are running at that situation, it's a mockery and it's embarrassing. You have to try and get some money out of the banking system, and you have to try to get some money into hard money, hard currency, outside of a wild, volatile market, and that's gold. It's always been gold. So I would just tell people, Dave, to wake up, understand where we're headed. It's still not too late, but the hourglass is tipped. This could happen at any time. The price of gold is getting more expensive every day. It won't go up in a straight line, but I think that it's pretty inevitable that gold is going to be a lot higher in the next few years, and the dollar and our money is going to be a lot lower as our money dies, and the whole system is dying. But that shouldn't be the reason why people do it, Dave. It should be all of the reasons that we talked about before, because when things fail, folks, and when our money completely and our banking system completely folds and craters, you're going to be glad you have enough gold. And that's the reason why people should have a substantial portion of their assets right now, Dave, in something they can control, like the gold coins and the gold bars that we talk about every week.
The message today has been that the American dollar used to be backed by gold reserves, but today it is fiat currency, which means it's backed only by credit. And all fiat currency in history has eventually become worthless. So by moving a substantial amount of our savings and investments, we can actually protect our wealth before the death of money. Ken, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, Dave. Nice to talk to you as always.
And that is going to bring us to the end of our time together today here on the Gold Standard with Ken Russo, brought to you by Midas Gold Group. A reminder, opinions given here are not intended to be specific to your investment strategy, but rather general information to give you a better understanding of investing in precious metals. For answers to your questions, call Midas Gold Group at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, by the numbers 855-322-4653. And the website is MidasGoldGroup.com, MIDAS, MidasGoldGroup.com. The Midas Gold Group is proud to be America's #1 veteran-owned gold dealer, supporting veterans' causes with a portion of profits donated to the Wounded Warriors Project and to the Semper Fi Fund. So your investment in your future is also an investment in the future of those who have bravely served the cause of freedom. Again, the number to call to speak directly with Midas Gold Group is 855-322-GOLD. Ken, thank you so much for your time today.
Let's make America great again, Dave.
Yes, indeed. I'm Dave Dino. Come and join us again next week at the same time for another edition of The Gold Standard.
The Gold Standard was brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.